dia, like if you have an idea, or as we say in the South, oh dear me. Right. Oh, maybe that I got to spend 2 weeks at Osaka University staying in the boys' dorm. Or maybe that I got to attend an Apollo launching with the president President Nixon was in the bleachers with, or I was with him. So yeah, there's that. Whatever that number is, it was 11, 12, 13. So look at you. You can help me. Awesome. Right. We got to tour the vertical assembly building the day before, and yay, Girl Scouts. Yes. Yes. It's very vertical. Exactly. And I appreciate you said the five facets because what else has facets? Can you think of something else? Diamonds. Exactly. And you are got a great memory. You A diamond has facets that are each themselves, but you can't take a facet off of a diamond. It's part of it. So same thing with my claim your people at work. This is an acrostic with five different facets, and each one is a facet that in the workplace you can help people know that they are claimed. People don't just want to be connected, they want to be claimed. And when you're claimed, you're you're in a position of belonging. And the workplace that has a culture of belonging is strong and healthy. And people don't just stick around, they actually take ownership and help a company grow. So we can talk about all five of these if you're ready for that. It is beyond important. And people think, well, just they have the attitude left over. Look, I gave you a job, you come, you do your work, you go home. We don't have to be all huggy feely, kumbaya about it. It's work. Well, do your job. That's not that's not how you're going to get people. The great resignation, people weren't quitting their jobs, They were quitting their bosses. And because they didn't feel like they, well, were claimed. A company, there was a survey done that a company that has a belonging culture, a sense of belonging in the culture, has a 58% increase in productivity. Okay, belonging boosts the bottom line, but also a 50% decrease in turnover. Well, there's another boost in the bottom line because it costs more to hire someone, train someone, replace someone than it does to keep the person you have. So keeping your people happy, you there are if you could keep your people that you have motivated without putting a light, lighting a fire under them, or if you could keep your good people and keep them from leaving without using shackles, wouldn't that be important? Wouldn't you want to know? Well, that's what the belonging does. Oh, here's a statistic that's very impressive. If you have a culture of belonging, you have a decrease by 75% of employee sick days. They're coming to work. They want to be at work. It doesn't matter how much of a headache you have. If you want to go do something, you're going to figure out how to go as long as you're not contagious. But it's so easy in a toxic environment where you don't feel supported, where you don't feel claimed, to get sick. Our We can make our body sick by our attitude. But if you're at a happy place, and I'm studying smiles recently. Do you know that a smile is more contagious than the flu? And when you smile at someone, their brain automatically puts an unconscious smile on their face. And when you smile, it releases what I call happy chemicals, the serotonin, the oxytocin, and the dopamine. So we could be legal drug dealers just smiling at. Well, if you're happy and you're at work and you're smiling, then you're going to be contagious and people will be happy to be at work. So they're going to come to work. Oh my goodness. Right. Well, I like to consider this analogy or metaphor, or whatever English term you're supposed to use, that the leader, the one in charge, is the thermostat. So you set the temperature. And if you want to know what your temperature's set on, look at all the little thermometers that you're leading. They are just reflecting back the temperature you've set. If you want to have a happy environment, you better come with a smile on your face to work and greet people with a smile. You are the thermostat if you're the leader. I saw this raising and here's something somebody might not know. I have 8 children, my husband and I, and I learned there's times when you have everybody acting crazy, but you have to go, wait a minute, I am the thermostat. I need to set that off of crazy and set it on happy. And then the little thermometers have a different. Yes, that's right. So The Yeah, you're the thermostat, which also means you can't, well, it's these people I'm working with. No. Yes. If you're the leader, it's yours. It's in your ballpark. You cannot pass that on to someone else. Yeah. Now, okay. Yeah. So claim the C. People want to know that they are a word that starts with C. What do you want to guess it, or you already did your homework and you know, but do you want to tell the people what the C is? Give them a second to think about what it is. Confident. Yeah. Well, that this is something, well, confident would be within themselves. So what can you do to someone to help them feel claimed? So the C is people want to know they're chosen. If you're hiring someone and they get selected for the job, that makes them feel great. If you've inherited a team, how can you trans, translate to them or communicate to them that you're glad that they are part of the team? That you can point out that they have been chosen because of their abilities. Also, this is where you as a leader, you need to know what culture you're wanting to create. Can you write out your mission, what you're about, and do you communicate that to other your people that you're leading to say, I want you, I've chosen you to be a part of this culture because of we are in alignment and what you contribute here. So I choose you. Just like way back in elementary school when the coach would or the teacher would say, we're going to have two teams on dodgeball Friday, and you're a captain and you're a captain. I'll pick the teams. Did you get chosen? Were you the team? Right. Yeah. That makes them feel included. Uh, Unfortunately, this has a lot to do with how we have street gangs. People people are born with a need to belong. That's on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The very bottom is you need food, clothing, shelter, safety, then it's belonging. We're made to belong in community. And why not, if they're supposed to be coming every day to work, why not do what you can to help them feel like they belong and claim them? So that's the C. The I. Okay, well, first of one of the exercises I have is to make sure that are you know what your mission is and what your culture that you're wanting to create is, and you can choose depending on your team. You may want to pick just a few people, or you could have the whole team. Help them be included in the determining of the culture. Get them to help you understand how can we communicate to everyone, we're glad you're here. What makes you feel like you are included? And just communication, communicating. Very, very, very good. Right. The L. Now, this one is very obvious, and usually everyone gets what people want to know that they are. What starts with an L? Loved. Now, in the business world, someone might say, "What's love got to do with it?" And that would make a great song title. Oh, wait, it is. In fact, there are over 2,000 song titles with love in the title and a million something songs with love as the theme. But what this means in the workplace, as you're leading people, it means that they know that they are safe and secure and non judgmental atmosphere. I know I've talked to so many wounded ex corporate people that say that they have been mistreated, they've been yelled at, they've been totally not been in a loving environment. Now, loving does not mean, oh, it's okay. You don't have to meet the deadline. Oh, that's no problem. I know you totally screwed up when we lost $1 million. No problem. No. Well, that's not love either. If you've raised children, you know that you need to discipline them and correct them so that they can grow and do better next time. But if someone messes up in the business world, a loving leader will take them aside and not make an announcement in front of everybody. Let's talk about how we got where we got and what went wrong and how we can improve it next time. So that love is in spite of, unconditional, and a loving leader is approachable. Like, I don't, is someone that you're leading feels like if they want to improve on a process, they can come talk to the leader. Now, the leader will receive them and listen, not necessarily do it, but the worker, the employee, the stakeholder knows that they can be, that the leader, you're approachable. And that helps with all the other facets as well, because you choose to listen to them, you choose to love them. Forgiveness doesn't mean you don't have consequences. It's like, uh, I know you use permanent marker to draw a lovely picture of how much you love me, son, but that is not where we draw pictures. We use paper, and now we're going to get some marker, some paint to paint over it or clean it up or whatever. There are going to be consequences to, um, um, you know, make it up, restitution, so to speak. In the workplace, the love is within the realm of expectations. You're loving to give expectations to your people and know what to expect, and they communicated that. Does that make sense? Well, it could be, and that's why I created a love of company survey, because if you're a leader, you may go, "Oh, everybody loves working here." Do they? So you can do the survey and find out. One of the questions is, do you see yourself working here in 5 years? Well, uh, and this is anonymous, and they can answer it. And if they don't see themselves working here in 5 years, maybe they don't love it as much as you think they do. So what you do is I've, and you can get this from in my book. There's a digital code that you can download the survey and give it, and then book a call with me to talk about. So what'd you find out? Oh, yay, let's celebrate what a wonderful leader you are. Or, oh, let's come up with a strategy to move this company forward now that you found out what they're thinking. Great. Awesome. All right. A, what? Well, the first word people think is A is for apple because that's what you're taught, but that's not what it is. No, people want to know that they are acknowledged. And there is so much in this on this particular facet that get the book. It's in the book, but not everything, because there's even more than that. People want to know they're seen and heard and empowered. You can acknowledge people for their accomplishments. I've got a friend that turned around a mid-sized company that he was had a choice of just repurposing it, shutting it down, or reworking this branch. And part of what he did was acknowledge the people, listen to them, find out what they thought of where the company was, and then created a wall of fame, had their pictures taken, and put them up there. People have been talking about it for years, never did it, but he did. He acknowledged their accomplishments. Another way that you can, facet. Yes, Glenn, you're so good. It's because when you choose someone, you're loving them. When you love them, you will acknowledge what who they are. And we have all this talk about DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. You have to acknowledge a person. And the acknowledgement I'm talking about goes beyond. It starts with maybe, but it goes beyond, way beyond DEI, because you acknowledge a person, how they communicate. The CEO of Zappos spent time learning all of the people that he was leading, how did they need to be communicated with? So he would call the ones that wanted a phone call. He would text the ones that needed a text, email people. He would make a video message and send it to the people. That's how so you need to acknowledge how people communicate. You can acknowledge a person's learning skills. Are they auditory, visual, or kinesthetic? Can you just tell somebody to do something? Think about if you're frustrated with somebody you're leading and they never do what you tell them to do, is it because they need to have it written down? Or you send them an email and they never do it because they need you to come alongside and kinesthetically show them how to accomplish something. So acknowledging the differences. Even in a relationship, you can acknowledge the love languages. Maybe your significant other likes uh, acts of service and not a gift of flowers or chocolate. And that it goes way farther for you to say, I want to clean the kitchen for you tonight, than here's some flowers. So acknowledging a person and where they are. And there are two simple, cost efficient ways to acknowledge a person. Glenn, one way is to use their name. You're saying, I acknowledge you as an individual with your own identity. And the other way is when you're in person, you're look them in the eye to have a conversation. Or if you're on Zoom, you look in the camera, find your camera so that, yes, it is. Yes, it is. But if you want to feel the people watching or listening to feel like you're coming through the lens right to them, then look into the camera. So, this is something you can practice when you're out and about. Stop and look at the person checking you out at the store. Hey, Alice, thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. Do you know you may be the only person all day long that acknowledges Alice as being a person, an individual worthy of acknowledgement? It's like we talked about smiling earlier. That's another way you can acknowledge. So people at work want to be acknowledged. And if you're acknowledging them, you've chosen to acknowledge them, and it is a loving act to do. So, they're facets, they all fit. So we've chosen them, we've loved them, we've acknowledged them. Now, what do you think the I is? I know. Well, it's tricky because it's two words, but they both start with an I. So I'll tell you, people want to know they're invested in. And you, as a leader, you invest in your people by giving them the training they need, by giving them the resources and the tools that they need to accomplish what you've asked them to do. If you're the got the money, you can invest in them by giving them a bonus and rewarding them. Here's the most cost efficient, simple investment you can make. And it's time. Children, as a parent, spell love Time. So if you're the successful father making all this money, successful mother, and you think I've got all this money, great, I can shower my child with all these gifts and that I didn't ever have or advantages that I never had. What they really want is your time. Same thing with the people you're leading. Uh, there's so much more in investing in your people than um, with money and resources. I like to tell the story of Doug Conant's that turned Campbell Soup Company around. It was about to go under. Can you imagine a world without chicken noodle soup? Terrible. Well, this is true. One of the actions he took was making sure he invested in his people with time. One way he did that, he would do a walkabout and just stop and talk to them. We can listen to people, stop and give them our time. And do you know, I love to point out if you rearrange the letters of listen, it spells. Did we talk about this? If you're listening, yes, if you're listening to someone, you're there, you're present, you're not thinking about what you're going to say as soon as they finish talking. You're not thinking about, I wish they would stop talking so I could go do the errand with your smile on your face. Yes, silent. You're being silent when you're listening. Yes, absolutely. And here is I invite you to use this tactic in practicing to be silent, because if you ask questions, then you're loving them by showing interest. But see if you can do follow. How many levels deep can you do follow up questions? Like, well, that's interesting. Tell me more. Uh-huh. And how did you come up with that idea? Or, really, what else can you say? How far can you go? And as you are listening, pay attention to them. If you don't know what to talk about, also in the book, I talk about the Ford method of conversation, FORD, an acrostic. Yeah, I love acrostics. You talk about family. You talk, that's the F. The O is occupation. You could ask about how's your job doing, or what have you, a weird job have you ever had in the past. The R is for recreation. When you're not at work and what do you do? And getting to know your people. And when they feel known, then they feel that you've chosen to know them and you're loving on them and acknowledging that they have more about them than filling out the forms and turning in the numbers. And then the D is for asking them what their dreams are. And a fun question to do this is, if you won the lottery, what would you do with that? And my passion project is getting the word out about claiming your people. That's why I wrote the book. That's why I speak on podcasts, because if people, there's so many hurting people, especially when we got isolated and stuck and shut up everywhere and covered our free drug giveaways, legal drug device of a smile. The world is hurting, and we need to claim people that are around us. So the more I can help people be conscious of claiming the people in their lives, at work, in the home, in your just relationship, and also claim yourself. Choose yourself. Love on yourself. There's a concept of having a love tank, or it's like a cup. If your cup is full of happiness, smiles, love, then you can pour it out on other people. You can share it with other people. But if your love tank is empty, if you haven't chosen yourself, giving yourself opportunities to grow by loving yourself. Sometimes loving yourself is giving yourself a kick in the butt, acknowledging, hey, I need 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to make sure I sleep 8 hours. Or acknowledging, I need to be away from people to recharge, or I need to be with people to charge. So, acknowledging who you are and then investing in yourself by claiming yourself and you what you need to do because you've acknowledged what your needs are. And then you're able to claim other people because you have something to invite them to. Ready? Oh, soft skills are the hardest. Well, that is true. People do feel like they are a member. They want, but then it would be like you need to membership them. But no, the M, you let your people know that they are made for great. And bottom line, that they matter. They're made for greatness. And I don't mean that they're going to get the Nobel Peace Prize, which, well, yay, if you did. Uh, but what I see greatness, in my humble opinion, is when you see someone's greatness, you're saying, I know that you are gift wrapped with your skills, abilities, talents, experiences, knowledge, everything that uniquely makes you you. The world needs you to be you. And when you are fully living out that greatness in the world, then you will make a difference. And you will because you matter. So I cheated. I've got three M's for the M of this, but it's so important. It's like the world, the picture of the world is one great big jigsaw puzzle, and you've got 1,000 piece puzzle. And you say, well, I'm just this one little 1/1000th of a piece. Well, guess what? It may have some of the same colors next to it. It may have sort of the same shape, but if you are not in your space where you belong in the picture of the world, then the picture isn't complete. Yes, empathy is part of emotional intelligence, and it is also it's part of the element of showing love. If you have emotional intelligence, then it's kind of like being aware of you, the thermostat. You are aware of your emotions. Like you can recognize if you had a hard time getting to the office because somebody cut you off or you almost they almost hit you or whatever. You need to be aware of your emotional state. And that's the first step, being aware of where you are emotionally. Then checking it, be in control of it, saying, okay, whatever you can come up with that helps you shed the bad. If you have to sit in your car and count to 10 and just go, okay, breathe in, I am going to work, breathe out, and I am going to set the thermostat on empathy and happiness and smiles so that when you come into the office, you're aware of your own, you're in control of your own, and then you are able to be attentive to where other people's emotions are. You see somebody struggling with the coffee machine, and they just go get a cup of coffee, but everything's, hitting it and what's wrong. And okay, attention, they need some empathy here. And then the fourth component of emotional intelligence is responding to other people in a way that gives them the love, the empathy, the security. Right. Because that's how it will show up if you've claimed them. They feel like they're part of the culture. I am promoting my book, Claim Your People at Work: How Inclusive Leaders Keep Their Employees Engaged and Productive. I'm focusing on that to make sure that people can get this on Amazon, and then offer there are um, worksheets and helps in the back of the book in the appendix, but there's also a way to get free bundle so you can have a digital copy of the worksheets and charts and exercises. That's what I'm doing right now. If anybody's around me a lot, they may get tired of hearing it, but I'm talking about claim your people in all of life and claim yourself. Wow. So I know. I think possibly, and now I got to remember the chapters actually. Uh, Possibly the chapter that talks about the importance of, well, I don't know. Well, there is one chapter that explains claim, or maybe the chapter Belling the Cat, the fable, and that it doesn't matter how much we know, how much we learn, how much we hear, if we don't do it, if we don't do something about it. And Belling the cat is an old fable about uh, there was a mouse meeting because the cat kept eating up the mice, and they were wanting to come up with these great ideas. And this young, thought he was all smart, says, I think we ought to put a bell around the cat's tail and then we'll know when the cat is coming. And everybody cheered, yes, that's what we should do. And this older, wiser mouse said, good idea. Who's going to be the one to put the bell on the cat? Not me, not me. Not. So, great idea, but it doesn't count if it's not doable. So I do invite people to be conscious. And here, okay, I didn't ever finish telling about Doug Conant, what he did. I invite you really quickly to invest in people by pick one person and write them a thank you note. Write them a thank you note. You're investing your time, your energy, your heart, and then they will receive that and feel chosen, loved, acknowledged, invested in, and made for greatness. And nobody gets notes anymore. What an impact if you wrote a note to someone not wanting something. Well, first you got to get their snail mail address because no, that's one of the things Doug did at uh, Campbell Soup. Over the 10 years he was there turning it around, he wrote handwritten notes to every person there. Part of it he started because people didn't have emails, some of them. Do you know how many he wrote over the time he was there? Oh, well, that isn't, that it was 30,000. He wrote 30,000 personal notes. I don't know, everybody got one all the time. Well, that was a bummer. But he wrote more than I did anyway. And if you don't know what to write, like I have six children in love, I call them. Six of my children are married. So I wrote a love letter to each one of them and used this as an outline. I said, I'm so glad you were chosen to be part of our family and what I love about you. And I, da, 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 da. So if you can't think of what to write to somebody, claim them in a letter. That works too. Okay. Hmm. I don't know. I managed to answer any of your questions without you asking me. So I don't know. Yes, you did. And yeah, well, there's so much to that of um, what question? Well, I like to end, and we're past our end, with just my one message to tell people is that you are made for greatness. I want you to really breathe that in. Say, I accept that you're telling me that. You are, Glenn, you are made for greatness. And I want you to breathe that in and just hold it and know that no one else can be you. No one else can be me. And hey, Judy Garland said, why be a second rate version of someone else when you can be a first rate version of yourself?